Hello and welcome to Mulling It Over, a brand new podcast with no plan because we did not plan this ahead of time. My name is Mulls, and I am joined by my co-host, Barry.
Hello, I am here, I am new, and I've never talked into a microphone before.
And we're here to talk about video games. Probably a lot of Persona. We're going to talk about Persona a lot, you guys.
I used to play other video games before Persona. But it's been a long time, man.
Do you really need anything else?
Well, no. No. I love Persona, and I love hanging out with you. I don't even know if I like Persona, man. I think I just like playing it. It's a good excuse to be with you.
You heard it here first. I'm better than Persona.
Oh.
That's what that means.
Well. Oh. Okay, you're pushing it, man.
All right. So, my dude, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, the only thing that's on my mind right now is Persona. I'm probably going to be talking about, like, major spoilers for Persona 3, and, whatever the heck, we ended up... What portion are we at in Persona 4? We're first half. We've only gone through, like, a week, right? We're
only in the first dungeon. There's many more dungeons to go, so spoilers of Persona 3 and 4 up to the first dungeon of Persona 4.
Yes. Yeah, the first fucked dungeon of Persona 4. Well, I think in comparison, because it's so jarring after finishing Persona 3 and having all of my abilities in the Rockin' team of Mitsuru, Akihiko, and Aigis, just having no abilities sucks. It really does. It's not like it ruins the fun, but yeah.
So, do you want to explain to the audience your fucked up method of playing Persona 3?
Fucked up method? What was it that fucked?
The time period.
Oh, that's a lot of history. Okay, so 4 years. 4 years, everyone. So we start Persona 3 in 2016.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, university. I started university. And you gave me the game, and you were like, play this. It's worth it. And I play it.
I shoved it at you.
Yeah, you really did. We were gonna be like, okay, you don't have to play Persona 3. You can start Persona 4. But I was determined to play all of them because you love the game so much. And I was like, okay, this must be good, right? Like, I think so. So I trusted you a lot, and so I started playing Persona 3, except I just forgot about it for very large portions of time, especially during winter when I was in school, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, let's just fucking only play Persona 3 while Liam's around. Problem is that you live in another province, so, like, yeah, that just ruined that.
I want to point out, and I'm going to call you out on air. We are 3 minutes in, and already the real name has been dropped, which is fine.
I call you by your name, like, in the middle of my speech. I can't help it. It's just the way I talk to you. So, I'm gonna just do it.
Yeah, I don't care.
My name's not gonna be a problem, because he does not do that. He does not do that. See, look, I even say it right now.
I call everyone dude, but everyone already knows my name if they watch my streams, and I stream with @Gigabit Gaming on Twitch. And
smooth.
Go check out his live streams. I'm on them sometimes. And he says my name and I say his name all the time. So we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's just going to happen. It's the way I talk to you when I feel real comfortable. So unfortunately, this is the case.
I'll tell you what, I was always surprised by how much of Persona 3's story you were able to maintain over the course of 4 years as you played it.
4 years? No, because you linked me to that DSP video, and I started watching it casually, and of his shitty playthrough of Persona 3, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, I forgot how Persona 3 began. Like, I just forgot. Like, I really did, but I do remember certain, like, important plot points and random, especially details about the social links, which is weird because, you know, they're kind of like a side thing.
Shoutouts to DSP, by the way. The one infinite forever YouTuber who will never die.
I can't believe how awful. I really thought that my name for poor Minato was awful, but no, his was way worse. Shit Pickle's way worse. I'm sorry.
Let's get into that. I remember vividly telling you, hey, don't fucking call him something stupid. And then you proceeded to do what again?
Okay, so, the name for Persona 3 Protect. So when I was first playing Persona 3, I was a baby. You know that thing you are before you reach the year of 20 years old. So I was like, oh, it'd be really funny if I named him something stupid. And so, oddly enough, I walked upstairs, and we were just starting Persona 3, and we were getting excited because we were going to start our journey. And I walk upstairs, and I see my dog's collar, and they accidentally bought my dog, because she's a girl. They bought her a collar that had Stud Muffin on it, and my mom didn't understand what it meant, because all she saw was the word stud and then a picture of a muffin, and I was laughing my ass off, because I'm like, you got her such, like, a male-coded collar. Not that it matters about it. Dogs don't care. But anyways, I was like, Stud Muffin. That'd be a fucking stupid name. And so I did. And I'm so sorry, dude. Like, I'm sorry to myself. Because the ending of Persona 3 destroyed me. I cried like a baby. It wasn't even like a baby. It wasn't like a baby, dude. No, that was like... that was legitimate tears. I was devastated. I couldn't sleep that night. I witnessed a death. That was the ending of Persona 3. And so, that whipped me into, like, a reality of being like, I gotta respect the Persona. Like, I have such a different perspective on the games now, especially towards the ending portion of the game, when Persona 3 begins, when...
The real Persona 3 starts now.
The real Persona 3 started as soon as we found out everyone was gonna fucking go.
After we discovered that Stud Muffin himself had death shoved up his butt.
He had death shoved up his butt that came out in the form of a weird, horny teenager who is also another guy, who's also another guy, so... The plot line, gotta say, isn't like the strongest point of Persona 3. It's the character's reaction to the plot that's just amazing. Like, they become so real that when I found out they were gonna die, I legitimately, like, I had fear in my heart. And that's saying something, because I don't, like, it's a video game, whatever, right? But no, this was real. Real feelings.
Let's not pretend that Persona 3's plot isn't some Kingdom Hearts bullshit.
It's a little awkward. It's a little awkward. I'd say it's probably the weakest point. I have a feeling that might change for Persona 4, despite the fact that Persona 4 is more bullshit, hanging out, all that stuff. I'd say that it'll change then because it is more mystery-based, right?
Yeah, Persona 4, despite having a really goofy plot and a really goofy tone, like you're hanging out with a guy who gets fucking stuck in a trash can on a daily, consistent basis... despite that, I'd say the plot is actually way, way stronger overall. But I think some of the characterization is a bit weaker. It's still really good, but I don't think anyone's quite as top tier as like Aigis or Mitsuru, or even like most of your main cast. Like the party in P3 is really, really, really strong.
Oh, it's so strong. It's so strong that it actually kept me going through like 4 years of being off and on about the game. Because the beginning of that game did not grip me. The only reason why I played it is honestly because like whenever you came over, I was like, let's do it. Let's play Persona 3. Because eventually I got a taste. Here's some context. One summer, I think it was the second summer of university, so I came over to your place, and I was like, let's play a bit of Persona 5. I got a taste of it, and it was so smooth. I can't believe how smooth it was. And I'm like, okay, if I can get through Persona 3, get all the context, play Persona 4, and eventually someday play Persona 5, I think the desire to play that game so much will fuel me. But I'd say that that side of being fueled to play Persona ended after the plotline kicked in for Persona 3. Like, I cared so much about finishing to the point where we finished it in 1 month. So, like, 4 years of playing the first half of Persona 3, and then as soon as we got to the good part, boom, Also, because of COVID, getting locked up, and you moving to my province, getting in here, getting into my town, that really changed it up. And I think that's going to be consistent like that from now on, which is great.
It should be a whole lot easier. It's funny. Ever since I moved here, because we've been hanging out more, I've had a lot less time to play video games on my own. But I don't particularly mind because I get a similar level of enjoyment just playing games with you, even if it's just really watching, because I love Persona so much, especially Persona 4, that I get an inherent enjoyment out of seeing... Like, I'm essentially living vicariously by watching you play through that game and being like, I wonder who Culprit could be, and, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, I'm having a good time, and I'm hoping Persona 4 will be just as good, if not better, of an experience as Persona 3. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, though.
So far, Persona 3 will probably remain in I don't think I can say, oh, it's my favorite game once I finish all the series, right? Because it was an awkward playthrough. It was a weird time. I'm sure maybe someday I'll play the female version. I chose Minato. I didn't realize at the time that there was that many differences, and I've listened to the music in the female version. It's amazing. I don't regret it entirely, but there's a little bit of regret. Maybe someday I'll go back to it. But for now, with Persona 4, I just immediately I'm gripped by it, and the reason why is because I love atmosphere in video games. I mean, one of my favorite games is Luigi's Mansion, and that game it's all atmosphere. It's a short game, but it's all atmosphere. I love it, and I love that Persona 4 has so many little details in the town. Like, every street feels like it matters. All the people on the street, even like the NPCs that don't have any social links who are just randomly there, it all feels like it fits together. I'm gripped by that. It's a different tone. Persona 3, I played that because of the characters. I'm playing Persona 4 because I'm curious about Inaba. I think Inaba itself is a character, and I'm excited to look at it, like, you know?
Inaba is definitely more of a character than Tatsumi Port Island was, especially since you were playing the portable version. You definitely didn't get that feeling of a location, but even in the PS2 version, I'd say Inaba has a lot stronger of a personality than any location in Persona 3 does.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've seen, from oddly enough, that DSP video, I've seen what it looks like when you walk around, and, like, honestly, I think it's probably because the city setting doesn't grip me as much. However, I did feel personality from Persona 5. Like, when I first played that, it felt like a Tokyo. If I've ever been to Tokyo, I'm sure they reflected it really well, because, like, I could feel, like, the tight streets. Everything feels, like, tight and like it matters. I think the first thing you see in that game is, like, a map where it shows you, like, all of the stuff you could do, all, like, the part-time jobs and stuff, and there's so much. I love that kind of detail. And I'm sure that if they made a new Persona, like, if they just remade Persona 3, they could fix this issue. They really could. I think that they could make that island way more interesting. But for now, what fueled me through that game was definitely when shit hit the fan. Oh my god, that was so good. And you could see all the characters begin to kick in with their personalities. Like, Yukari became more interesting. Jinpei, who we thought was a little shithead who just was craving some pussy. Oh, he became actually a really good character. Especially whenever he met Chidori. You could see that he was starting to care. Like, everyone has such a good arc. Everyone. It's really good, except for Ken.
I feel like my opinions on Ken maybe influenced how you feel a little bit. I fucking hate that shit kid. Fucking got Shinji killed.
He's not... Okay, so it was fucking Strega, okay? It was Strega who killed Shinji. The kid, he was there. If Strega wasn't there, the kid would have just broke down and been like, oh, I can't do it. Like that sort of thing. But Ken, he's not awful. I mean, he's cute looking. I mean, his character model. He doesn't look as freakish as poor Fuka, who is a sweet character. She just...
Fuka gets nothing but upgrades going forward. Like, she's super cute in the Persona Q games, and she's great in the arena, which we are also going to get around to at some point. No, Fuka gets raw upgraded throughout every single spin-off.
Yeah, I don't know. They fucked up her character model even. Like, whenever she gets, like, the portrait, it's like her eyes are just like, it's kind of cute in a weird way, but also, like, yeah, clearly I've seen what she looks like. It's much better. Whatever. It's okay to have some little losers. I'd say that probably the weakest characters are Ken and Fuka. I wish I could have gotten to know Shinji more. That's why I regret not playing the female route. That's like one of the biggest regrets. Just from not choosing to do the female route.
I talk about how important and better I think the female route in Persona 3 is, and I really do. I really enjoy her a lot more, but I think Stud Muffin's story is also important, and I feel like you almost need the context of his version as the original version first to truly and fully appreciate FemC.
Exactly. I think that it's okay. Yeah, I think it's okay that I chose Stud Muffin in a way. I stopped regretting it. Like, there's parts where I was like, oh, I wish I chose the FemC. No, towards the end, especially the very, very end, like, for some reason it fits so well. He fits well with Aegis. I mean, I don't know if they're able to do that as well with her, but it feels like Stud Muffin it's weird. He feels like an asshole. Like, we always made fun of him because he had, like, no character. But no, I feel like he does have a character in it. It relates to his apathy. Perhaps, like, to do with the fact that he's been burdened with death. Maybe he wasn't aware of it, but I think that towards the end, when you start to see him relax, the dialogue choices become a lot more like friendly almost after the final boss, right? That one, like, those few days you have before the ending of the game. Like, you could see that just that slight character change is impactful. And you could see that he's tired, and he has a character. It's in there. And Aegis, like, sees it, and it's really sweet in that way. That's why it's so devastating. Oh my god, that game. Huh.
You can also see a lot of differences in the protagonist's character through the music, because FemC's music is very different than Stud Muffin's. Mm-hmm. The main thing is, like, you pointed out to me, and it was something I actually never realized beforehand, but if you listen to When the Moon Hits the Stars, or Reaches the Stars, I think that's the name of the song, like, the lyrics are talking about how miserable he is, and how he's depressed, and how he doesn't think it'll last forever.
So, like, the literal lyrics are, it's like, I never felt so miserable. Like, that's actually the lyric. It's hard to tell, though, because the Japanese accent is strong. But, you can actually hear it in the lyrics. I'm sure there's videos where it actually has, like, straight up the lyrics. But the only nice part of that song is where it's like, the moon's reaching to the stars, and then the rest of it's like, I'm miserable, I want to hold you forever, I'm lonely, I'm like, yeah, it's, all of the songs have that, though. Even the Hangout themes, all that stuff, it all has it. But the FemC version, it's like the same songs. It's funny. It's like the same kind of depression. It's just a little less heavy on the lyrics. Some of the lyrics are a bit more tame, but they're still melancholy.
You definitely get the impression she's a lot more cheery than he is.
Yeah, like, he get... Like, that's what I'm saying, is that throughout the game I was like, oh, he's kind of an asshole. Like, we always run with the idea, the whole, like, fan canon that the bottom response is the proper response for the character, like what he would actually say. And I gotta say, for him, he's got some asshole responses to things where he doesn't care whatsoever. Like, oh.
So does you, to be fair.
You is so much more of an asshole, but he like, is such a Chad that he kind of pulls it off and is almost charming in a weird way. But I think, Persona 3 Protag, I don't know, I think he has a reason for being an asshole, and it's because he might just be burdened by a lot of death, and he deals with a lot of shit, man.
So do most of the characters in Persona 3. Now, there is one character I want to talk about in particular. I remember when they were first introduced, you were kind of lukewarm on Aegis. So, that definitely changed.
It changed because of, clearly, well, her social link is so powerful. I can't believe that social link is not in the base game. I can't, because it is so important to my feelings towards her. But definitely the ending, the idea of Aegis is, I think, tied to the thought that when you die, you desire most to be near someone, and she is that person. She is that person who is near to you on your death. And I didn't realize that at first. If I replayed that game, I think it'd be so much different, like my feelings towards her, because you can see it from the very beginning. She just says, I want to be by your side. I didn't get that at first. I didn't realize what the ending would be. So now that I'm looking back on it, her being the sole person you're with, just, like, that's impactful. And I recently had, like, this also hits different. So some shit happened this year. Not even regarding COVID, because that affects everybody. No, my January 1st was the most fucked beginning. So, like, I had a death then, and I don't think that, Persona 3 would hit as hard without it. It was my dog. She was around for about, 12, 13 years. She's had a rough time, in life, but after experiencing that death, I think it changed my perception of Persona 3 so much. Seeing Aegis there, being like by his side right to the very end, like, I gotta love her for it.
And that's kind of like where I feel with Aegis, is she's a very interesting character, and she gets a lot of. She's very popular, but she does get some dislike from a subsection of the fan base, hate the popular thing, that kind of thing, right? And I don't fully understand where they're coming from when they feel like her arc isn't, like, they say it's like cliche, there's better robots coming to life stories and that kind of thing. And it's like, I don't necessarily think her story is necessarily entirely about her coming to life. Like, it's about her understanding what life is, but it's also about her understanding death and understanding loss, and especially the loss bit when you eventually get around to the answer. But you also have to take into account, like, the end credit song is definitely from Aegis's perspective. And that song hits different when you listen to it in English.
Oh, yeah, that's when I cried. No, I cried so hard. Man. So I think that what people aren't understanding about Aegis is that when you look at Aegis alone, that's the wrong way to look at her. If you look at any of those characters alone, that's the wrong way to look at them. Because
but they're not friends.
So, yeah, he's bringing that up because for some reason he met some people have some perspectives on Persona 3 that apparently the cast aren't friends.
They live their own lives, man.
I don't understand that. It makes no sense. The whole thing is coming together to face death. The only way you can face death, by the way, because I fucking experienced it. Like, no, you... This is ridiculous. But I think that, I was bringing it back to Aegis, I think that they're not understanding that Aegis's character is part of your development. And I wasn't seeing that at first with Aegis. But seeing her being like, I need to be with you by your side towards the end. That's so strong. That's what makes her strong. Like, and her not crying, like, and staying with you and being strong, being like, no, you can rest, man. You can rest. Oh, that, like, breaks my heart.
Aegis is a really strong character, and it breaks my heart too. Namely, it's like she went through so much. Like everyone in the cast goes through so much, but she struggled a lot. She felt responsible for death being unleashed, and I would imagine that maybe she even feels some guilt over everything because essentially she's what kind of let it happen, even though she can't fully be responsible because how could she possibly stop it alone?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting too, because at first it seems like she's just like taking her role as the robot. Like at the beginning, she's like, okay, I fight things, that's my thing. And so there wasn't that much guilt there at the beginning, just sort of like she was going through and helping everybody. She's like, this is just my duty. This is how I'm going to accomplish things. But later you get to see that she has some conflicting thoughts, a very human thing. She starts to contradict herself in her own mind, and that's when she is starting to become human. And it's really subtle. They don't dive too much into her guilt, and I'm kind of glad, because that would be cliche, I think. It'd be like, well, you're just reiterating the same point. We still have to face death. We still have to do this. It changes nothing whether or not we have a moment with Aigis where she's breaking down because she's so guilty. Literally, she shows up and she's like, guys, I feel guilty. This is right after she's repaired, right? She comes back. She's like, guys, I feel so guilty. And the whole gang just looks at her and they're like, no, it's not your fault, Aigis. You did your best. Like, it is so sweet, too. Like, that shows their development, too, as characters. That's what I'm saying. You can't reflect on characters alone. They're a group. They're a team. Literally, the first thing they say is Junpei's just like, nah, that's bullshit, man. You're cool. You're cool, I guess. Don't blame yourself.
I think watching you play Persona 3 really changed my perspective on Junpei as a character, because I used to really not like him, because all I could remember about Junpei is he was such a fucking asshole at the start of the game. He was like, I want to be the leader. And then in the Femsiru, he's like, I don't want to be led around by a girl. And he's such a fucking dick. And that's all I remembered about him. But now that I've rewatched, especially that later half of the game, no, he's really strong.
He is super strong. Like, obviously, Chidori was the big influencer towards that, which he had the coolest Persona awakening. Gotta say, like, the theme of his actual Hermes Trismegistus, I believe is pronounced, but he gets that persona by fusing with hers, and it's so, like, appropriate to the mythology as well. I mean, not like totally, but I really like that little reference in there. He starts to change, and he starts to respond kind of responsibly to things. He knows he's not great at school. He knows he's a bit of like a flirt. He knows he's like, well, not a flirt, actually. He's more like a bumbus idiot who comments on girls' panties. But it's almost like he becomes self-aware of that, and it's like charming in a way. He becomes an actual bro. Like a bro friend. That's someone I would actually be friends with in real life. That's what Junpei becomes. At first, he was definitely annoying. And I think maybe that's the point.
Akihiko, you're gonna miss the panty raid.
So, the best comic ever for Persona 3, best comic ever, was the dumb panty raid one. And, I don't know. That one, that's the best, like, joke comic, because I could see it happen. Fucking Stud Muffin with his wild eyes in the background, like, Akihiko, you're gonna miss the panty raid. And Akihiko's like, I'm gonna tell Mitsuru!
Wait, no. So if you've seen SpongeBob, you know what we're talking about. But yeah, at this point, I consider that comic canon.
It's canon. In my brain, it just happened. So, yeah, that's canon to me.
I can hear Junpei's voice say it.
Yeah, because I can hear the voice actor in there. By the way, voice acting for Persona 3, quite good. They're all very good. Same with Persona 4. I like all the voice actors. Just a reminder that I'm playing the golden version and not the vanilla, which would have different voice actors apparently.
They're mostly all the same, save for Chie and Teddy.
Yeah. But
Teddy's is so close to the original, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, but Chie's voice actor, her new voice actor, is amazing. She comes across as, like, a teenager. It's so strong. But, like, not just any teenager. Specifically, Chie. And when a voice actor can sound like their character, it's perfect. And I'd say that's consistent with all the Persona 3 characters. They all sound good. Like, they all sound good. Especially, I guess, Mitsuru's good. Junpei's voice fits perfectly. Like, Yukari's voice fits perfectly. I can't imagine them without their voices. That's a sign of good voice acting, in my opinion.
Here's a fun fact. Mitsuru and Yosuke are married. They're voice actors, I mean.
Oh, that's sweet. That's cute. I like details like that, you know? I sound like it's part of the game. No, this is just real life facts. But, no, I think that's cute. And also, I'd like to say that one big bonus for Persona 4. I mean, there's so many upgrades between Persona 3 and Persona 4. One of the biggest things is more voice acting, even just casually in social links where they have like a single line of dialogue to kind of emphasize a certain point where you're in the middle of a social link. Oh, it changes so much the mood having that voice acting. It helps so much. I'm not trying to rail on Persona 3. Of course, I enjoyed that experience, but there's so many like upgrades. That's one of them.
I know one of my favorite characters has some of the best voice acting in the game is Dojima.
Oh, Dojima. So I immediately said that Dojima was hot. Like, as soon as I saw him, he's got single hot dad energy so badly. I'm like, oh, ooh, Dojima.
Getting the vapors.
He's so, like, he shows up and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be my favorite character. Like, he is so far, like, the most interesting character. He barely shows up, though. He's only on occasion. You only get little sprinkles of Dojima.
Him and his bumbus friend.
His bumbus friend. I also love his bumbus friend. He is cute. Like, just actually cute. He's adorable. He's bumbling around. He's doing his best as the detective assistant detective. I don't know. Whatever his job is. But yeah, no, I'm excited for more of them and their shenanigans.
I mean, we're probably going to end up playing more Persona 4 as soon as we're done finishing recording this podcast.
Oh, yeah. I wish I was confident enough to record while I was playing it, but we decided on me. I decided on me kind of playing it alone because I think I just want to have that experience. And then Persona 5, we'll see. We'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see. Recording on a PS4 is way simpler than recording on a Vita, so... I mean, granted, we could have recorded and streamed, like, the PC version of Golden, but...
Yeah, that could have happened, but it's so... Like, the portableness is actually notable. Like, I think that's one big... That was probably their selling point, and it is, that you can move it around, and we can go to whatever house we want to go to and play that shit. I think, yeah, no. I am glad I made that choice of playing the portable version.
It doesn't, you don't, like, lose much. The only benefit the PC version really has is, like, the difficulty adjustments and the higher resolution. The Vita version still looks great.
It does, especially in comparison to Persona 3.
That's not fair as a PSP game.
It is. I'm so sorry, Persona 3. Someday I'll come back and I'll Persona 3 whipped respect into me. I had to name you Narukami because I was like, I can never do this again. I'm so sorry, but Stud Muffin, I keep calling Minato Stud Muffin, and I know I ruined it.
It's locked in.
It's locked in there. I can't go back. Now I take that name seriously now, though, just like I do Persona. No jokes here. We're Yu Narukami. Also known as Chad Narukami. I was going to name him Chad, but I was like, no. The ending of Persona 3 was too devastating. I have to... No. Respect.
And I guess as fun as these games can be, as fun as it is to, like, meme around and joke and be like, haha, I have all the girls and I'm a Chad, ha. I do think these are games that deserve to be taken seriously.
They deserve it. Because if any game can make me, like, cry or care about a character to the point where I'm like, this feels almost like a real person, like a very character, like obviously a character, a little exaggerated, but like feels like a real person. If a game can make me feel that, if a game can make me feel passionate, I've got to give it that. So, Yu Narukami.
You know you have a good cast of characters when the game is over and you get the distinct feeling of, I miss my friends. Like, I finished Valhalla Cyberpunk Bartending Action recently, and that game is very weird. It doesn't have, like, a really strong central story. It's really just 2 weeks in the eyes of a person who's going through some stuff, but there isn't a lot of, like, resolution outside of the main core plot of I broke up with an ex and I'm still not over it. You get resolution on that, but there's a bunch of stuff that game sets up, especially with its side characters, that never gets resolved. There's a ghost that follows you around that no one can see and talks to you, and that's never explained, ever. You find out who the ghost is, but you never find out why you can only see them and talk to them. There's a bunch of conflicts a lot of the characters that come to your bar go through that never get resolved because the story, like, that's not what the game's about, really. It's not about finishing those stories. It's literally just talking to people at a bar. And you know what? Sometimes when you're working and you have a regular and you talk to them, you don't find out how their stories end.
It's probably the big theme there is the transitory kind of experience of working at any job is that you're never really going to find people's stories. You're never going to see their ends of their stories. And that was probably part of the devastation of the ending of Persona 3 was, I think the most devastating thing for me was that moment where it says in the dialogue, it's just like, you can hear your friends in the background. They've arrived to the roof. Like, they've arrived, and you can hear them, like, being all happy, and you can feel the sun on your face and the breeze. You have Aigis next to you, and she says, hey, you can rest, and you can hear your friends. The idea of that, they never quite see him. You never get to see what happens. I haven't played the answer yet, or watched it. That there's the context there. I'll do that eventually. But anyways, just knowing that their stories are kind of unresolved because that's life. You can't see the ends of everybody's stories. You die eventually. Everyone dies, and you can't see that sort of thing. Other people die, and their stories aren't finished. Like, that's so impactful. It's sad. And saying goodbye to all your friends, like. Respect. You can tell that I'm still, like, recovering from the end of that story, though. I think I finished it, a week ago?
A little over by now.
Yeah, a little over a week. But, no, still impactful.
I know, even when you do get to see those characters again in spin-offs, it's like, it's still just a section of their lives. And I kind of like that about the Persona series. There's never a moment where it's like, oh yeah, their lives are over. In fact, I think...
Except for Shinji. Poor Shinji.
In fact, like, when you finish Persona 5 and you're saying goodbye to your group of friends there, it's like, yeah, no, like, I'll see these people again, and, like, ignoring that the spin-offs exist, like, the character Ren will see those characters again, but you are saying goodbye for now, and that section of their lives is over.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's what high school is. That's what life is. And I'd say if there was any one consistent theme in Persona, it's that it's about living your life to its fullest, meeting as many people as you can, and doing as much as you can to better yourself as a person. And it literally makes you stronger, and you fight monsters. That's like as a side. It is an RPG, but that is the soul, I'd say, of Persona. Other than Igor showing up occasionally. Igor's the other constant.
So outside of, like, Aigis, what would you say your favorite social link from Persona 3 was? And you can say multiple, it's fine.
Dying Man. It's like, it's not even like it's a special story or anything. It's not like it's something amazing. I think what gets me about that social link is it's called The Dying Man. You know how it's going to end. He knows how it's going to end. You know he's going to die. That's so strong to me. Like, that whole social link. It's like, the closer I got towards the end, I would, like, get a little teary-eyed because I'm like, every moment, it's like, oh, it's so strong. Like, I don't know. It's such an impactful classic story. Someone's gonna die. You gotta spend your last moments with them. I love it. I love that story so much. Like, I get teary-eyed even thinking about him. And he's like a charming person. It's not like he's an amazing social link or a person. It's just the whole experience of being with someone before they die is amazing. Like, best social link. I'd say for, like, the more fun side of social links, I really liked, so I like Devil. I like Devil because he has a lot to say, and it's just kind of funny seeing, like, a portion of an basically evil man's life, seeing him kind of just chill with you and having his ramble on about something. That's really fun to me. My third favorite is the tower, which the monk in the bar. I just like, he's also another one where you sort of meet him in his life and he's rambling along. And towards the end, you start to see just a hint of what his home life is. And you're like, at the end, he's sort of like, okay, I'm gonna go confront some personal stuff now. Thanks for helping me out, kid. And then he disappears. I like the social links that disappear, to be honest. They're my favorite ones, where you can't hang out with them again. Like, because you know that they're gone. Like, Dying Man, well, guess where he went. And then you get, like, Devil, he disappears, he goes off and does his own thing. And then Tower Guy goes off, does his thing. I really like that. Those are my 3 favorite.
I know Dying Kid really, really reminds me, like, the sentiment of his social link reminds me of Anohana, the flower we saw that day. Great anime. But that hides nothing. There is nothing about that show I can say that would be a spoiler, because it hides nothing. The character is already dead episode 1. You experience the tragedy in, like, hindsight.
Exactly.
And it still works. That show gets me teary-eyed just thinking about it. I can't listen to the end credits theme of that show because it destroys me. And I love that show to death, and I watch it every couple of years. It's not even that long. It's only like 13 episodes. And it's so good, and it handles death so good, and it handles how the characters try and deal with that so well, and how it can, like, feelings of, like, grief can, like, linger for years and years and years, especially when you don't deal with it, and everyone deals with it kind of differently.
Exactly. I'd say that's the entirety of Persona 3, is that thought that just because someone dies, that isn't necessarily the struggle. It's actually everything that comes around. The death itself is just an inevitability. It's just it's there. Death is there. It's there. It's everything that comes around it that's so important, whether it's after the death, which I also think isn't. That's an amazing thing to write about, by the way, because after the death is so important. But I don't know, there's so much. There's so many feelings around death. The grief process starts before the death. It starts after whatever. It's everywhere. It's really interesting. There's so much to cover. And I'm glad they kind of reflected that in the Dying Man social link, because his thing is it's before the death. I don't know if the answer is probably more about, like, after, but I can't really comment on that until I actually watch it.
The answer takes place roughly 2 weeks after, like, the end of the game. So it's not, like, immediately after. It's not like starting on the rooftop.
Oh, that would be loaded. That would be weird, though, to be fair.
It really is worth watching, though. I think the story is worth watching as a continuation. I just hate the game part because it's so grindy. It's so grindy.
Yeah, we can just skip over that. We'll pull a Metal Gear. Just watch it.
We gotta watch Metal Gear 4. And mostly because I just want to get to Revengeance.
Yeah, we just stopped that, didn't we? We stopped that just like how we stopped, like, Persona 3, like a year. There was, like, a whole year we didn't play Persona 3.
It's true. Our timeline was messed up because of the way we had to work around, long-distance relationships. But now, that's not really a problem.
Oh, God, yeah. I could never do long distance again. Oh, my God.
Nope.
I could never. Like, being here with you makes me realize how hard it was before. I didn't realize how hard it was before until I was like, oh, my God, I love being with you so much. Why did I ever want... Like, why would I ever live apart from you?
It retroactively got harder.
That was... Yeah, no. But yeah, it did fuck up a lot of things, like Persona 3 and Metal Gear.
You still got a lot of enjoyment out of Persona 3. I don't think it ruined the experience for you.
No, especially since the best part of the game is the latter half, and that's the part I played with you. So, it's fine. It actually balanced out quite well.
Persona 3 has one of my favorite moments where the music changes. It's so strong.
Living with Determination, the second version. So
Todai mix.
Yeah. So, Living with Determination, it plays during really important parts of the game, and I didn't realize how important the song was. I thought it was just a song they chose to play during sad moments. But you don't realize how important it is until you do the Dying Man social link, where you realize it plays all the time. And so that changed my perception of it. So when Living with Determination plays in the dorm room, you start to realize this is the theme of living. Because they chose to live in the face of death. And when that just bop came in with the slight, I would say it's almost like a punk version of, like, this beautiful piano.
Bassy.
Yeah, bassy. It's got the Persona 3 bass and, like, the kind of punk, like, just this slight darker edge to it. It made it so strong. When that came in, I was like, oh my God, Like, it kicked in hard. I just had this moment where I was like, I gotta listen to this song. I think that's when I began to really appreciate the music of Persona in general. Because, I mean, before I was like, oh, Persona has good music. No, it doesn't just have good music. It's got fitting music that changes the mood.
I think as long as we're talking about Persona 3, we have to talk about the greatest final boss of all time.
Oh, right! The Arcana is the means by which all is revealed. Eternity awaits. I think I just gushed about that boss through the whole thing. That song is so amazing. I'm baffled still. I'm baffled still at how amazing it is. I've never had a final boss theme that's so good, and I don't think it could possibly... I mean, the song itself is the best. It's the best. It's the best final boss theme. But I think the thing that makes it so great, and this is what I said before, is that the Persona music isn't just good. It's good in context. It's better in context. Hearing that song for the first time during that boss, it's amazing. And like, it's got the little bit of that mass destruction in there, of like the punk aspect, and then you get the whole like Velvet Room in there. Oh, when the Velvet Room theme hits, I was baffled. Oh, I still am.
And it's really funny because the Battle for Everyone's Souls is such a godlike song that the song that follows it up is also amazing, but it pales in comparison. Like, Burn My Dread Final Battle is fantastic, but it pales in comparison to the Battle for Everyone's Souls.
I think the fact that Burn My Dread is still so fitting to the story made it still like that moment was cool. The music is okay because it's stepping aside for that theme of literally he's dying. I don't know if he's dying or if he's confronting. He's facing this inevitability so hard to the point where you can't even conceive what the boss is. The boss is like it's like a thing. You're fighting a thing. You can't even tell what it is. It's horrifying, by the way. I don't think I talked about that with you, but whenever the eyeball breaks out of the moon, right? And it's pure red, like this menacing red. You don't realize how menacing that color is until it like appears in the sky after a boss that was themed kind of blue. Like Nyx is blue, kind of black, blue, dark colors, and then the moon is like this cold color. But when it breaks out and you see it, it's actually really scary. Like, it's scary. It's really cool. And that whole boss is facing against that horrifying, hard to conceive idea of death. So good. I think they're both good themes, but clearly it's the actual boss that's the big one there, and then Nyx is more like a classic sort of RPG final boss thing, and its theme is appropriate for it.
I know with Nyx, one of my favorite parts of it outside of the music is the way the camera frames Nyx, and like the way the moon is in the shot and you're looking up, so it's way more imposing. Like the camera is angled up from your perspective.
The composition is so strong because I think what people forget in RPGs, and I think a lot of developers, I don't know if they don't think about it, maybe more modern developers fix this problem, but I noticed that in some RPGs you always get this kind of like slight top-down perspective of the enemy. You gotta get dynamic shots, man. It's all art. Like, video games, they're art. It's wonky art because I think that people aren't aware that it can be art, but like Persona 3, you see the final boss actually respects the art of it by showing your character at a lower profile. They're all standing together too. It's not like in normal boss battles where we're kind of strung apart. Like you're all standing directly beside each other and you're facing this thing upwards. Like it's and the wings like from the boss kind of extend so far off screen, you know, showing the imposing nature of this enemy. And he's just towering with this. I think my favorite detail is like the big ass sword that Nyx carries. It's just a big fucking huge sword. Just massive, and it's just standing there, JoJo, menacingly. But yeah, framing perfect. And I noticed already in Persona 4 that the camera angles are a lot better there. I can see that they've respected that. And I mean, from that 1 second of Persona 5 I played, it's all right.
You definitely got a bit of a skewed representation on the series, but hey, it's not as bad as me, where I played Metal Gear 4 first.
Oh, that'd be weird. Did you actually play the earlier ones, or did you do the more, like, watching its...
No, see, when I first played Metal Gear 4, it was before I was big into online culture. I didn't know what Metal Gear was. I got it for Christmas with my PS3, and I was like, oh, cool, a game with a guy with guns, right? I was at that age, because that game came out a long time ago. I don't know if you know that. It came out, like, right at the start of the PS3 generation, which is, like, almost 15 years ago.
Holy
It's, like, a long time ago. So yeah, I played Metal Gear Solid 4 first. I had no idea what was going on. There was a cool guy with a revolver. He was like, "You're pretty good," and and Snake would be like a fucking dumb smoking asshole, and then Otacon was like, "Oh, my Japanese anime." I had no idea what was going on, and I only went back and played like the other Metal Gear games at the end of the PS3 generation, and that's when I finally got it in context. And that was because I watched two best friends play at the time, and they played Revengeance, and I was like, I gotta get into this series.
Yeah, well, we can't all have the same experience, right? With video games or any sort of media. Sometimes we jump in halfway, but it just shows the integrity of that media you're watching, that you could play it out of order or whatever and have a good experience. I don't think any of my experiences with Persona were ruined by the fact that I played a little bit of 5, because I literally played 2 seconds of a 100 billion hour long game, so I don't think it's a problem. The only thing that's different is that I saw the quality jump, but I gotta say, it doesn't matter to me, because I've never liked video games because they were super smooth or beautiful. I mean, you forget that my first game was on GameCube. I played GameCube. Graphics were alright back then. They were alright, and I'm okay with that level of graphics. Like, you know, Hat in Time, let's pull this example. Hat in Time looks fucking great. But it's not like a super AAA polished game. It's like, it's got some problems. It's just, what I care about is style. And let's say in Persona 3, Persona 4, they have style. Even if they are clunkier, older maybe. Although Persona 3 is like, actually kind of clunky. Like, I mean, it's got some problems. But Persona 4 feels like a complete game. It feels like if you were to make it look any better, it would just be purely for style reasons, and I don't think it needs it. It doesn't need it. It looks great the way it is. It's got so many effects, like the menus look great, and I mean, I saw the Persona 5 menus. I saw them, and you know what? I still respect, I could see the origins of those menus within Persona 4. I can still see the style. That game looks great, in my opinion.
Persona 4 Golden's probably the oldest I can go back to comfortably, and I do want to go back and play older Atlas games. I'm planning to play Nocturne when it gets re-released next year, but I find it really difficult to go back, and it's for one feature. It's not anything to do with the save system. It has nothing to do with the way the games control. It's purely fusion and being able to select the demons or personas you want from the list, which started at Persona 4 Golden. It's so convenient. You don't have to like go in and out of the menus over and over and over and over again to try and get the skills you want. You just pick the monster you want and you pick the skills you want. It's so convenient. It cuts down on the time you spend in those rooms so much.
Yeah, it's I think some people who are more hardcore players, I think they think that because of the convenience features, like, oh, it's ruining parts of the game. Well, not necessarily. Convenience features are what they are. They're convenience. It's like, this isn't making things easier, it's making things less annoying. Like, that sort of thing. Like, I'm okay with that sort of thing. I think that improves the situation. I really love that too, because I remember Persona 3, like, the last few minutes of being like, oh, we gotta fuse this dude with this dude, and I don't know which dudes do what, because we want to make Alice, because she's so cool.
Alice carried you to the end of that game.
She's cool. She's actually, I'd say in Persona 3, she's my favorite Persona. I think that she obviously shows up in the other games too, and she's in Shin Megami Tensei, I believe, as well. But no, she's my favorite. She's the coolest concept. She literally, like does little pose, and then, like, these dudes come out, like, the cardmen come out and kill everyone. Oh, it's so cool. And she actually looks super good with Minato, right? Like, she actually looks really good beside him. Like, she's a fitting persona for him. Best one. But anyways, it was a pain in the ass to fuse.
It was, and Fusion does get quite a bit easier moving forward. That's why I was kind of adamant about playing Persona 3 first, because it's hard to go back to if you don't.
I gotta say, in another timeline where we didn't play Persona 3, and I knew this would happen, that's why I was so determined to play it, even through, 4 years, is because I knew I wouldn't go back. I knew I wouldn't. I would get spoiled, because it's not about looks, really. It has nothing to do with looks. It has to do with the clunkiness. The game's pretty clunky. And I especially don't like the whole thing about... You know the thing where Fuka, you do, the trigger button, and then you kind of, register the shadow that you're fighting to see what they're weak to. I'm not a fan of that. I really like the introduction of hitting the enemy, seeing its weakness, and then that being registered. That feels so much more natural. Because then it's a matter of, alright, I gotta conserve my SP because I gotta see what this thing's weak to. We gotta each use our abilities against it to see what this shadow's weak to. That's super smart. I think that's way smarter than being register, then wait 3 turns, and then Akihiko fucking kills it, and then you forget, and then you come to play the game again later, and you go to see its weakness and realize you didn't register it, and then you have to go through another turn, and then Akihiko kills it again.
I know in Persona 5, there's the additional benefit of all the shadows being personas, so when you get them, you get all their weaknesses on the register automatically.
Yeah, that's also pretty smooth. I really like that idea, too, of the shadows turning into personas. It's different. I'm so used to seeing those shadows. I actually think they look pretty cool. Some of the designs for the shadows are really neat. But I do like the change up that's going to happen in 5.
It's worth it for the negotiation mechanic. It's a good mechanic.
Negotiate. Bribe your personas. Just fucking... Come here, Jack Frost. You're gonna be my pal.
Prove to Jack Frost that you're worth his time by crushing this rock in your bare hands.
Crush it in your bare hands. Buy this thing or I'll kill myself.
I know you like Alice, but I have a really soft spot in my heart for Jack Frost. He's my big favorite.
Okay, well, I didn't say Jack Frost because I feel like that's obvious, right? Jack Frost's obvious.
He was the company mascot for a long time.
Appropriately. I think he looks great. He's so cute. We're gonna invest someday. Someday we'll have the plush. Someday.
I'm gonna get one. He's super cute. He's like, he-ho, bitch.
Yeah, well, I can't tell if I like Black Frost more or just as much. But I do really I like the context that it's you fuse the personas together, now you get a bigger, meaner version of Jack Frost, and it's cute. And he's actually, next to, when Minato summons him, he's, bigger than him, so he looks like a mascot in a costume, and it's cute. I really like it.
There's the Jack Frost, and then there's the cooler Jack Frost.
The cooler Jack Frost. That being said, they're all great designs. I really respect them. They look great. There's some weirdos, though.
Boy, is there.
There's some weirdos. I think the teardrop men, weird teardrop men get me. I'm like, what are these things? I don't understand them. They look so ugly, but I get you're supposed to, mash them together and get better ones.
I really don't like Mothman.
Okay, so I saw that comic where Joker shoots the shadow, right, which is Mothman, and then he gets a critical, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." Goes over to hug Mothman. Mothman looks cute in that comic, and honestly, he may look like a bug-eyed freak, but I kind of like it. It's a weird, endearing, creepy but cute thing. It's all right.
I can't even fully explain why I don't like Mothman. I just don't like Mothman.
As soon as I got Mothman in Persona 3, you were like, "Oh, look at this Uggo," and I'm like, but he's kind of cute. I like him, okay? He's alright. You can come in. You get in my party. I might get him. Persona 4, right? We're at the beginning of the game, right?
Mothman is in all of them.
Yeah. You're cursed, Liam. You'll forever.
No one has a bigger compendium than Joker, though.
Is it true? How many personas are in each of the games? And I don't know.
They max out at 200. I think Joker has 180 or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Whatever. Personas, whatever. I'm almost I'm almost on the edge of wanting to keep Izanagi in my party for the whole. I know that's a journey. That's a battle, but Izanagi looks so cool. I mean, of course, I have my love for Arsene, but that's another game. That's the future. But Izanagi looks awesome. Okay.
It doesn't really matter how many Persona you have when Persona 3 protagonist has the ability to rewrite the universe.
Let me summon my persona. The fucking world. No. The universe. Yeah, that was awesome. We still make the joke constantly about Stud Muffin being like... Sorry for calling him Stud Muffin, by the way. It's just the way it's gonna be. But
she ruined it for me, too, everyone.
Well, we just say it so casually that sometimes I forget that I named him a really stupid thing. At least it's not Shit Pickle. But anyways, him being like, no you to the universe... Inevitable death to the universe, more like my fucking persona. I don't know. That was really neat.
Uno reverse card.
Uno reverse card, the whole universe.
Man, I love the Persona series a whole lot. And I feel so bad because the community is, like, not in a good place. And it hasn't been, like, I feel like, since Persona 5 came out.
You see, I'm lucky because I'm not exposed at all to that stuff. I am so media... I'm like a media virgin. Like, like the only thing I use is YouTube. That's how I get my context for so many things. And of course I browse memes on Pinterest. But now that I'm getting into spoiler territory with the amount of Persona content I look at on Pinterest, that I can't actually look at it anymore because it's starting to show me shit for Persona 4 and I'm getting scared. I don't want to know anything more. I can't look at it. How am I supposed to find my Ryuji memes now?
I will send you Ryuji memes.
Please do. I love that boy. I've only known him for a day, but I love this man. I will die for him.
Ryuji is a good boy, but so is Yosuke. He's just dumb.
Yosuke is such an embarrassing, poor, sad boy. He reminds me of, like that loser high school kid. You almost want to protect him. He's so, like, you know, he's just like a nerd. You're a Chad, but he's like, oh, he's a poor nerd.
You keep him around so he makes you look cooler.
Yeah. You already looks cool, to be honest. He's got, like, silver locks. He's got, like, this friggin' jacket going on. He's got it, like, half open. His hands on his hips. There's so much personality in him. Ugh.
It's why I never understand the memes that are like, look at this Persona protagonist and look at this piece of white bread.
I don't think that's fair to the writers, because, like, why would he be so heavy on one personality when you're trying to play him in a game where you pick multiple choices? That's silly to me. That's not being fair to the writers, who were actually quite clever with only giving him subtle characteristics. Yu has a personality. He really does. Like, I can already see it. Stud Muffin took a while. Before I could see his personality. It was towards the end of the game with Aegis especially, who illuminated a bit of his mysterious personality. But Yu, I can see it immediately. Ren is different though. He's different, or Akira, whatever you want to call him. I don't know. He's more of like the Stud Muffin end of being kind of hard to read, but it's clear that Joker has a personality.
Yes, it is. I feel like a lot of people can kind of take Atlas's, and especially Persona's, writing in bad faith, in that they specifically look at it to be flawed and have problems. And I'm not saying that the games are perfect. They're not. But I feel like a lot of the times people can pick scenes out of context and use it as an example of why the game is bad, when you look at the game more broadly, yeah, that scene may be a mistake, but you're using it to put the writer in a spot where he's acting maliciously instead of, like, he's being well-intentioned, but, you know, he's from a different culture and he doesn't fully understand how we are. And I think that's really easy to see in Catherine, actually, where a lot of people go after that game because of they see it as problematic. But if you actually look at that game, I personally feel like it's really, really, really progressive. But because it's from a different culture, it doesn't quite meet where our standards would be for that kind of thing. But it's really progressive when you actually look at it.
It's hard because you always have to remember that just because something is from a different culture, you can't always play the card of, oh, we have to forgive them because they're from a different culture. Well, we also live in an era where we understand when things hurt people and make bad choices. We are aware you can only use that excuse so much. But in the context of Persona and Catherine, I think this is a case of people taking things out of proportion, just like what the internet does. That's just what the internet does. Yeah, I expect it. I expect it from everything. Everyone complains about everything nowadays. So, like, I'll only ever complain about it if I play the game and I come into a scene where I'm like, this is bad. This is a bad scene. I doubt it would make me stop playing it because I enjoy it so much and I enjoy spending time with you so much while playing it. So, like, you know, that's kind of loaded. But I think the important thing that people need to remember is that when you're playing a game or any piece of media and you come across a scene where it's like, this is bad, recognize that it's bad. Recognize where it comes from, whether it's a deep-seated issue in society, whether it's sexism, racism, homophobia, whatever it is. Recognize where it comes from. Recognize that the person who made it might have these beliefs. Acknowledge them, understand its context, but it doesn't mean you stop playing it or you boycott it or do that weird thing where you say that, someone else made it. They always use Hatsune Miku. Hatsune Miku wrote the Harry Potter series. That's one of them.
Because, I hate that meme.
Yeah, well, it's silly because you're not acknowledging the issues that are there. You're not acknowledging who created it and why these biases are here. I think that it's not about boycotting Persona. Like, let's say Persona did something, like, had, like, a scene that was pretty bad. Whatever was, like, homophobic or whatever. I think that is a thing in Persona 4 at some point, right?
We'll get to that when we get to that section of the game. I'm sure you'll have stuff to say about it.
Yeah.
Specifically with Persona 4, there's a lot I really disagree with when the internet talks about it, but, you know, we'll get there when we get there.
I think it's okay for people to be mad at it. I think it's okay. Because that's a good thing. You're getting mad because you care about something. You're passionate about it. But it's also important to be like, well, I'm not gonna hate the whole game because that's silly. You can't pretend a piece of media exists. Once it exists, you have to acknowledge it forever. That's just the way canon works. I'm sure if anybody taking English classes, they'd understand this, like university level. I'm not talking about like fucking whatever high school. But like when you understand canon, you understand once something exists, it cannot be unwritten. Especially whenever it's from the same writer. Which is why it's so terrible whenever bad scenes happen. But it doesn't mean you boycott things unless it's abhorrent, which is not. I doubt it.
The thing about Persona 4, and without getting into it, because I'd rather just cover it when you get to that point in the game. Yeah. The thing about Persona 4 is I don't think the game is homophobic. I don't think people are giving the game enough credit. I think there's a lot of misinterpretation going around, and part of that can be due to the localization, and part of that can be due to the writing. But if you actually look at it, I think it's hard to say that the game is those things. Persona 4 still has problems. It's my favorite game of all time, but it absolutely still has problems. Its writing is not flawless, and I can absolutely see where people get confused. I just don't agree, like, once you look at it, that you can walk away with that interpretation.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's internet flaming. It's just the way people talk nowadays. They talk in extremes. People gotta say, oh, this is the worst thing ever, when they really just mean, this part of this game mildly inconvenienced me and made me feel bad for a little bit. But instead it has to be a huge fight. That's just internet culture. It's an unfortunate thing. I think that we gotta not focus too much on people who are trying to flame things up. They get the attention, they get the likes, they get the shares. That's what gets spread around about this game. I'm sure there's people who love Persona 4 and acknowledge its mistakes as well.
It's important to remember it's Atlus's best-selling game before Persona 5. It's critically acclaimed. It's universally loved, pretty much. These games are beloved by the people who play them. Twitter always makes it seem like there's more people angry than there really are.
Man, you gotta boycott Twitter. That's about the only thing you need to boycott.
I fucking hate Twitter.
But you still dive in there, man. Your soul is attached to it. You sold it.
It's like watching a train wreck.
You are watching the Hindenburg, man, and I'm just sitting here like I'm gonna just not even get involved.
A really slow Hindenburg.
When would this Hindenburg crash, people?
It's still going.
It's still going. It's still on fire. It's only getting worse.
It's like that blimp in Kiki's Delivery Service that just kept going and going and going.
Yes, we watched that recently. That one, that movie is super cute. I stand by that movie. It's the most chill thing. Like, it's the most chill movie. I really enjoyed it. It made me feel good.
But to get back to what you said for just 1 second, I agree with you. Cultural differences isn't always an excuse for bad writing. What I mean when I say this is in Catherine specifically, when there's a big moment, when the camera zooms in on the character and there's a musical score and the character's like, who cares about the gender or thing of the person you love is? Love is love. And that's clearly the takeaway the writer and director want you to walk away with, despite other foibles with the game. It's hard to take those foibles in bad faith.
I like to point out this example. So I read a comic called Sin City. I'm sure it's very famous. Everybody knows about it. And it's written by a guy who's like kind of a weirdo, like huge weirdo, like a sexist weirdo. You can read it in the actual comic. You can feel the sexism, but it's part of the story. It's a really amazing comic. Like, it's just part of the story. Like, you can't, it's like, I don't know. It's weird to boycott things. Like, you read it, we're all adults here. It's not like you're going to become tainted and sexist because you read a sexist piece of media. Like, no. It's good. It's good writing. It's just, like, what it is.
I think sometimes when it comes to, like, the creators of something or the actors of something being pieces of garbage, and your ability to enjoy it after you learn this, it depends on the severity of what they did. Like, I can still, myself, personally, go back and watch old Louis C.K. bits and find them really funny. But I think it would be a lot harder to go back and watch, like, what's his name?
You're blanking, man. You're falling apart.
I can't, Bill Cosby. It'd be harder to go back and watch Bill Cosby.
Well, yeah.
Because a lot of the appeal of that show was kind of like its wholesome nature.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, this is more of like a deceitful kind of thing. It's sort of like what I said about J.K. Rowling. Far less terrible, but still pretty terrible. Her turf-like nature. That's a betrayal. It's a betrayal, basically, and that's different. I'm more talking about, like, with Persona, it's more like, that's more like fumbles in writing. And maybe their own inherent sexism or homophobia that's within the writers themselves that kind of is coming out. But, that's what I mean. Like, we don't pretend that the games don't exist, and we don't pretend that we have to hate them. I love Sin City. It's a fucked up dude, fucked up story, but it's great at the same time. Like, we don't pretend these things don't exist, you know?
Yeah, and like I said, we'll talk about the Persona 4 stuff when we get there, but I think there's more to complain about in Persona 3 and 5 in terms of that kind of stuff than 4. I think 4 is a lot better than a lot of people give it credit for, and if anything, that game has a problem with body shaming more than anything with the LGBT community.
Body shaming's rough, though, because it's sort of like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, you can control the shape of your body. That's not necessarily true. I think it also comes with, like, I think body shaming is the same level as ageism, where people don't realize that it's a problem. Like, when you make fun of older people, you don't realize that it's actually a type. It's a form of ism. It is a form of ism. And same with, I think, body shaming, to be honest. Everyone looks too beautiful in Persona. When you see someone who's uggo, it's like, holy shit. Holy shit, this person's uggo. They're not a beautiful anime boy face.
And, like, it's not, like, horrible, but it does have its moments. Like, Persona 4 has its flaws.
That's okay. Persona 3 had its flaws. Actually, most of the flaws in Persona 3 that I can think of are just like, this is mechanically awkward. Like, I mean, with the actual gameplay.
But yeah, no, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to say about Persona.
Yeah, I think this is a good a good point. I think I got out most of the context as to how I played Persona. It's kind of a strange story with me. It's a weird experience, but we're getting consistent now. We're getting consistent with Persona 4, and I'm excited to see where it goes, to be honest.
I mean, like I said, we're going to play Persona 4 right after this podcast stops.
Literally, we're just going to dive right in. Listen, playing Persona makes you feel like you're hanging out. It's true. It just makes you feel calm, like at peace. You're hanging out with people. Sometimes shit happens, like learning about the end of the world or dealing with dead people hanging off of power lines. That's, whatever. That's part of life. That's what Persona is, and that's why I enjoy it so much.
So, before we wrap things up for this episode, I don't know how consistent these are going to be. I'll probably aim for bi-weekly at the worst. But anyway, before we wrap things up, is there anything else you want to talk about, maybe not Persona related?
Well, I don't know. It's on the brain right now. Persona's on the brain right now. I'm sure that once we get playing other games, it kind of will start to die down. It'll come in waves, probably. I just have the most to say about it because there's so much to say. There's other games I love. I love to talk about. When you play Luigi's Mansion, I've got a lot to say about it. I have a lot to say about Luigi's Mansion. Which is kind of funny, right? Because I'm pulling out this random GameCube game, and I'm just like, listen, everybody, you gotta appreciate this game, because it's my favorite. It's the first game I've ever played. But, like, it's just because I just played it last night. That's the last game I played. It's Persona 4. So it's on the brain. That's how my brain works.
See, the thing with playing a lot of games like I do is sometimes you play a game when there's a lot to talk about, and sometimes you play a game when there's nothing to talk about. So lately I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, and that game's great, and it's really fun. But there's nothing to talk about. It's Assassin's Creed in Japan, and you sneak around, you stab people, and you go like, oh, my honor, and that's it. That's the whole game.
It's a beautiful game. I think if anything there's to be talked about, it's more on the art perspective and probably more on the game development aspect. But neither of us know too much about that. I know a little bit about art, but that's about it. And that's probably why I have so much to talk about with Persona, because it's like you have the character side of things, you have the art side of things, you have the story, you have everything. That's probably why it's on the brain. But I think the best way to do this is, if we want to talk about a specific game, we gotta play that game before, because then it'll be on my brain, and my brain will go to it.
And, obviously you're not going to be done Persona 4 by the next time we do one of these. So, again, get ready for a lot of...
God, no. It's going to be... Like, okay, so my pseudo plan is to play this game on a consistent basis, weekly. And then probably I figured that we would finish it by, like, Christmas, because there'll be a lot of times after that. There's going to be a lot of, like, long weekends. There's going to be, like, that Thanksgiving. There's going to be a lot of moments where we play that game for a long period of time. And I have a feeling that by Christmas, definitely we'll have it finished. And then New Year's probably we'll get around to maybe Persona 5 if we don't get into... what was it? Mass Effect. Mass Effect. We're interested in that.
Yeah, Mass Effect's definitely on the docket. But I hope you guys are ready for a whole lot of Persona talk. I swear this isn't a Persona podcast.
I might make it one. I'm sorry. My apologies. Watch it if you want, at your own discretion.
I'm disappointed neither of us said anything awful, so I can't name the podcast something fun.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm an awful person, and sometimes I just don't. I'm not. I'm feeling so happy and chill today, man. I don't know. I'm okay. I don't need to say something too awful. I did say something awful this morning, but that was like our personal conversations. We don't try. But what happens on the streets stays on the streets while we're walking.
We gotta keep this sponsor friendly.
Sponsor friendly? What sponsor? Who the fuck sponsors this?
I want to get the G Fuel sponsorship. Like a real gamer podcast.
Oh, the word gamer. We were talking about that.
We were just giggling over the word gamer last night.
He called himself my gamer boyfriend, and I just... I fucking hate it. It's awful.
I still remember. This is a good podcast story. I remember 2-3 weeks ago when I first moved and you came to visit, I was turning on my computer, and you saw the LEDs inside, and you're like, oh my god, you're a gamer! In, like, the most horrified tone imaginable.
I've said that almost every time I looked at your fucking keyboard. Like, when I first came over to your house, and I was, like, looking, and I'm like, oh, that's a gamer keyboard. But I think the reason why I was so I was so horrified is because I looked at it right next to your chair.
I miss my chair.
Your chair broke, and we're all very sad. But the problem is I saw it all in context. I saw you sitting there on your gamer chair with your gaming PC, with your gaming friggin' computer, just your gaming mouse. Everything glows. I'm like, oh my god. I have a gamer boyfriend.
In my awful. Gamer t-shirt.
You only wear gamer t-shirts.
That's not true.
The other day you wore a blank shirt. And that was the most intense thing you've ever worn.
It threw you for a loop.
It threw me for a loop. There was no personas on that shirt. And I was like,
is something wrong?
Is something wrong? Is he not taking hearts today? Was this something's up with him? Ugh.
I already got the only heart I need.
Oh my god. Our viewership turned down to negative. There was nobody watching to begin with. Now it's in a negative.
See, now they know you have a boyfriend, so no one's gonna want to watch.
What? What?
That's like a real thing where, like, when people find out that female streamers have boyfriends, their viewership drops off.
Oh, that's so fucked. There's actually a lot of weird sexist stuff within the gaming community. I've dealt with it since I was a kid. I mean, a lot of girls who were gamers, that word's ruined. Anyways, but a lot of girls who were gamers, at least when I was a kid, it'd be more like, just don't say you're a girl, and don't ever turn on the mic. There. And now suddenly you feel accepted. It is really weird, though, like, how men are afraid. I don't think it has anything to do with the women. I think it has to do with the men being afraid of, like, knowing that they're a girl, and suddenly they start changing their personalities. It's a really weird effect. I've had that playing World of Warcraft when I was a kid. It's a weird thing. But anyways, it's just, everybody knows about that.
Don't let anyone bully you because you're a gamer girl.
Yeah, like, that's the weirdest thing, is people will be shocked that I've played video games. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, everyone plays video games. Everyone. My mom plays video games. Like, screw off.
Even me, like, when I'm playing an online game and I hear, like, a female voice over comms, it's not like I change how I act or anything, but there is, like, and it's probably, like, an internal thing, but there is, like, a moment of surprise. It's like, oh, wow, a girl on a video game. Like, it's rare. And I don't think it's actually rare that they're playing it. I just think it's rare that they're talking.
Yeah. It's hard because it's just like you forget that women are like people. You forget that they have the exact same interests, the same desires, the same things as men. It's just we've been raised so differently that it causes this effect of thinking that there's something crazy about it, when it makes so much sense that a woman would play video games. If you like video games, then women like video games, because we're all human. Like, what?
I'll admit, sometimes I have awkward moments when I'm playing, like, Rainbow Six Siege with @Gigabit Gaming on Twitch, and
oh, fuck off with that. Awful.
And like I'll get a voice, and, like, there'll be, like, a 1 second moment where it's like, okay, is that a girl or is that a kid?
The answer is just call them they and them, and then you're in the safe zone for a while until you dive for more information, investigate. Or you could just be ballsy and be like, what's your gender? But don't ask their age, because that's fucked. That's like a pedophile thing to ask.
I tend just to not to. Like, I don't actually talk on comms all that much in games. I'm usually in a private Discord when I'm playing with @Gigabit Gaming on Twitch. And then, like, we're only doing call-outs, like, where the people are, or, like, things they need to know on comms. And we very rarely, like, actively talk to anybody.
You know what the safe zone is? Just call them by whatever their gamer tag thing is. Or, just call them dude.
I gotta be honest, though. My favorite part of playing a game like Rainbow Six Siege and, like, online games is just, people are so toxic, and I love it. It's so fun. It's so much fun to watch someone get really toxic.
It's like classic Call of Duty. Xbox 360 back in the day with the Call of Duty. That was my experience because I would watch my brother play it, and that was just. It's so fun, like watching people get mad. I think I get trolls. I get trolls from that perspective. There are some instances where I'm like, I don't understand trolling because like. I feel like people, it's sort of that thing where it's like, it's just a prank, bro, where they'll just say like, oh, I'm just trolling, when it's like, well, trolling is trolling. You're still insulting someone or doing things. I don't know. I don't get what using trolling as a defense, but my point is that form of trolling is fun. You gotta say, randomly turning around and like friendly firing on people. Oh my god. Like, yes.
When we play Siege and we have like really toxic teammates and they just keep talking and like they'll get mad that we're like not doing enough when we're at the top of the scoreboard, we'll be like, we'll just go in real quick and be like, stop cluttering comms, please. It's so funny.
That's cute. You see, I can't play on... I actually get afraid playing. I don't know why this happened. I don't know if it's because I've had that experience of being like, I don't want anybody to figure out I'm a girl, but I hate using my voice online in video games. I hate playing, like, player versus player. I don't know why. I don't know. I think it's because I tend to feel like I'm being mean whenever I win or something. Like, I'm just like, oh. Or if I'm getting hit by someone else, I suddenly take it as like a personal thing. So that's why I just don't do it at all. Whenever I play World of Warcraft, I just played PvE, you know? So, a lot better. A lot more tame.
Yeah, just let all the salt exist in our Smash matches.
Oh, they were salty. There's some salt there. Thanks, Joker. Ugh.
Get ready for Persona 4 arena matches.
I'm actually excited. Gotta watch the answer first. But, no, I'm excited for some Persona. Apparently you said it's quite good, so this will be the first time I'm playing an actual fighting game, other than the, quotations, fighting game that is Smash, quotations.
I actually really want to play it. That game's so much fun.
And we could just play it anyways and fuck who cares about spoilers, everybody?
There is no active spoilers for anything important in Persona 4 Arena Vanilla.
Right, and especially avoid the campaign, right?
The only spoiler is a thing the game spoils in its intro, and it's not anything to do with any of the individual games. It is the revelation about a character in the story mode that is original to Arena, and there is no avoiding it. You will just know. Yeah,
that's fine. I didn't realize this, but they spoiled Shinji's death in the intro of Persona 3. Not the version with the portable, but if you wait long enough and it loops to the original song, it just shows Shinji lying there dead. But yet again, it's in the context if you see everyone lying there dead at some point, so it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But like, no, Shinji's dead.
It's like the JoJo intros where you can see a bunch of shit, like old man Joseph getting hit by the knives in the Part 3 intro. Like, it's all there. It's right in plain sight. And there's tons in the Persona 4 intro that you just can't see.
I wish you could stop saying that, but at the same time, I hear, like, that harmonica, and all I can see is beautiful colors, and then, like, occasional things where it's like, oh, there's, like, a crime scene, I guess, and there's some people laying on the power lines. I don't quite get what you're saying about spoilers. I don't know. Like, I see the characters.
It's the type of thing that you could only possibly see it after you, like, finish it.
Well, it's sort of like the JoJo intros. Are the JoJo intros actually spoilers when they're so well hidden? Like, I'd say remember, part two, yeah, with the bubble? Like, you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. But it's a really important part of that story. And I think part 4, oh my god, part 4, JoJo, honestly, it's just, like, amazing. I think it's my favorite one.
Part 4 is my favorite, and then Part 2. I really like Part 7, but I never actually got around to finishing it. I just kind of stopped reading it when they got to the train, which is apparently right towards the end. But I stopped when they got to the train, and I never picked it back up.
Yeah, I think that someday we'll just probably pick it back up again. I don't know. I feel like maybe we were all JoJo'd out because we had been watching so much beforehand. That was like basically the first major thing we went through together was watching. Oh my god! I almost called it Persona. Yes.
She has a problem with the word Persona now.
No, when I watch JoJo, I suddenly start calling Persona Stan. So it's actually like kind of a It's like a mixing issue.
No, but you can't say the word persona out of the context of the
Oh.
game and take it seriously.
Oh, yeah, because, like, persona is a word, by the way. I don't know if people know this,
Yes.
but, like, persona is a word, and it's useful because it means, like, a thing. Like, it means itself, an aspect of a person's identity that they project to other people. It's an important word. And occasionally I have to say that word, and then I just have this moment where I'm like, persona. And I'm like, just ruin this word.
It's gone. It's done. But yeah, I got hit by JoJo really bad because I was in a Discord group at the time, and they just wouldn't stop with the same memes over and over and over, and it burnt me out on the entire franchise.
Oh, okay. That might be why it kind of dropped off. You see, I think you can get overexposed. I think JoJo got. I'm not the type of person to hate something because it's popular, but JoJo got super exposed, like real exposed to the point where like some random friends they don't even watch anime, but they know what JoJo is. Like that's how intense it is. It's like Sans Undertale. Motherfucking everyone knows Sans Undertale.
And I trust you to know your limits, so when we get to the end of Persona 4, you'll need to decide if you want to like take a break and play a different game in between, which I wouldn't blame you. Mass Effect's not super long, something like that.
I think I play with my heart, like I play when I want to play. That could include like taking a break from Persona 4 while I'm playing it, like for like a month or whatever. We don't know what'll happen, but anyways, I gotta go to the bathroom soon, so we're gonna wrap this up.
We've been going for like an hour 30, so that's a good length for a first episode, I think.
That's a good length for my bladder.
You have a very small bladder.
Listen, I'm a very tiny individual.
It's true.
I deal with what I've got, man.
I like tower over you.
Yeah, I'm baby. I didn't realize I had a baby voice until like I saw we were playing back the recording right before this, and I'm like, oh my god, my voice, because you don't realize what your voice sounds like until like you objectively listen to it on a recording. And I've got a baby voice. I sound like a teenage boy. That's what I thought. Awful. But anyways, it's okay because I don't hear myself that way, so I don't have to know how awful I am.
All right. Well, I think we'll take this opportunity to close it down. This has been Mulling It Over with me, Mulls, or Liam, as has been exposed.
Yes.
And Barry.
Barry, I have not been revealed. My true form has not been revealed.
I have more willpower than you.
I broke down immediately. Listen, I call you it so casually that I was just like, ooh, whatever.
I guess we know who has the better tongue. Oh, I didn't think about the context of that.
Fucking kill me.
Alright, that's it. That's the end. Done. We're done. Yeah.